Hello, everybody, and welcome to another Community Fortress. This one was sent in by Joe, and it goes by the name of Oilseeds. So Joe sent in a fortress once before, and it completely broke my brain. And I'm kind of expecting the same thing to happen as this time. This is actually a reclaimed fortress, which is now the capital, which is very exciting to have a look at. So which means there's probably going to be some spoiler stuff down towards the bottom. So I will post a warning in the video somewhere in post when I get close to that kind of situation. So just keep that in mind. There might be some spoilers later on, but I'll be mindful to not show you stuff directly without warning. So, if you would like to send in a fortress for me to have a look at on this series, simply join my Discord. There's a link down in the description of this video. In that Discord, there is a room called the DF Save Sharing Room. And if you go into that room, you can upload your save. Simply do what other people are doing. Upload it to a Google Drive or a file sharing service of your choice, or simply zip the folder and link it directly. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in there, and we can help you get your save uploaded if you need assistance. Now, this particular fortress, once again, is a reclaimed fortress, the Dwarven Fortress of Oilseeds. And it is of the beautiful mirrors and the mountain of peaks, which is a great name for a dwarven civ. And this is a reclaimed fortress. So because Joe's last fortress was impressive to say the least, I'm not going to be offering any advice on this fortress because frankly they could probably teach me a few things. But what I will be doing is I'm going to try and point out what is and what isn't reclaimed generated. So if you're unfamiliar with what a reclaimed fortress is, it's actually what I'm doing in my Dwarf Fortress Let's Play Brave Book currently. A reclaimed fortress is a fortress that was generated by the civilization itself for the world, and it just sits in the overworld. When they get destroyed or taken over or abandoned, you, the player, can reclaim them. It's an option as part of embarking. And it gives you a very basic layout, and usually they're quite small, and they're generally not in the craziest kind of locations. However, it gives you an interesting challenge because sometimes there will be random hostile creatures living there. I've had ones that have just had multiple forgotten beasts in random rooms. Sometimes they will be full of neutral entities or weird visitors or interesting things that you don't normally see in Fortress mode. So sometimes they can be an interesting exercise in kind of what can happen in Dwarf Fortress. But another thing that they offer is they offer pre-dugout rooms, a lot of supplies, sometimes weapons, books, writing materials, and all sorts of other things that can be really exciting and interesting. But the issue is they're also boring as hell. They're generally very boxy. They have a very specific central stairway, which is very samey from fort to fort, and they all have this kind of large square dirt roof with walls around the edge, a couple sea levels high, and a trading depot in the middle. So it's kind of a challenge to make them look cool. So this big old square here is the default area with this little room in the center as well, but everything else here has been added on to. So I'm going to be using this kind of as an example of how you can make some of these fortresses look really cool and things that can be done. So over here in the corner, we actually have a little tower, which is a little library, which ironically is the exact same thing I'm doing in Brave Book, and I swear I didn't see this fortress before I started working on Brave Book. That was just something that I just started doing. They've also got over here, they've got this little soap room called the Bathworks. It's like a little bathhouse thing. It's full of soap, and I'm kind of assuming that this is some sort of water zone, but it doesn't seem like there's actually like a water resource here. So I'm actually curious if the dwarves come down here and bathe themselves using this soap, because I've only ever seen them bathe themselves at water sources. So that's interesting to me. There's also some giant stray lions down in this library area, which is cool. There's a ramp going down here, which leads down into this layer, which is super neat looking as well. Just kind of this cross symbol, which I'm not entirely sure what it's supposed to be specifically, but it looks really nice. And there's a bunch of bedrooms down here, and I love that floor tile pattern. That is beautiful. Combined with a tiny little with a Stoneworkers Guild Hall over here, which is kind of adorable. Also, I'm curious because this thing's value is off the goddamn ceiling, but I'm kind of curious, is anybody here playing with hard economy turned on? I'm playing with hard economy in my most recent fortress, and it's really forcing me to build more intricate, complex designs for my guild hall, and I've been really enjoying it. Over here we have farm plots and livestock in the center. One thing that is real nice to note about pre-generated fortresses is that you will very quickly have access to the caverns because they're usually already exposed by the time you start. So then down here in the corner, there's a little set of Stoneworkers Workshop all made out of malachite, which Risk of Rain 2 has taught me to hate, but looks really cool in game, I gotta admit. And then down here is just like a stockpile of noses, which we all knows about. And then around the edges are various other workshops and things, kind of populating this upper large area. There is a tiny little animal training zone with just kind of your central stairway, kind of heading down down in the middle, and then over here in the corner is a whole bunch of mist generators and a very, very lovely tavern alongside of a dining hall with gold block floors and bituminous coal block floors as well. Beautiful. Over here is the trading depot, which trades out the side here. I don't know if they're really at war with anything, but that seems a little risky. I don't know how they would defend this in case of a siege. Maybe they're at war with nobody. Let's actually take a peek. Yeah, it looks like they're at peace with everybody. So it's a very peaceful fortress. We're going to go down a few layers and start following this. So these central stairways here is basically how the pre-generated fortresses generate their central stair. It's just like a ramp, a ramp, a ramp. And it appears that Joe here has widened it by one. I've never seen one that's two. It's always just one, and it just goes all the way down. They've also got these chairs placed in, which I think is kind of neat. And they're using them as guild halls, which is a creative way of doing things. Normally, these central ramps, I guess not really stairs, are just an open hole in the middle where you can just fall in and fall all the way down to the Magna Sea in some cases. So they're not exactly one for safety, those dwarves. Down here we have a little prison system with offices and spaces for the captain of the guard with an unassigned bedroom, which makes me wonder, maybe they already had a bedroom, or alternatively they just forgot to assign it. Down here we have a little barracks and a place for training ranged dwarves. And up here is, your forges and all that. And down beneath there's single tiles of lava. And then over here is just a kind of an unfinished zone or something of the sort. And then down here is I was about to say the minecart route that brought that up, but no, it's a space for catching bolts. So if you fire bolts directly at a target, sometimes they can break. And to my knowledge, they are less likely to break if they fall straight down. Also, if they're fired straight at a target, and another dwarf goes to pick it up, they might get shot by another one, so you kind of want them to fall down, so it's just much safer to have like access points like that for your arrows. Then as we go down to here, you can see there's a hospital. I like the little crosses on the ground, and then there's a bunch of coffins, as well as some display clay cases at the end, and then more coffins, and then more coffins, and then more coffins, and then also it appears that these are also all guild halls for various skills, and then more coffins, and then I was about to say and more coffins. No, this one's a temple. And then the temple seems to go down a few layers down to some water, which is interesting. Are these all different temples? Nope, they're all the same temples. The crystalline temple. I kind of like the pool of water, though. It reminds me of Legend of Zelda for some reason. The ramps continue going down, and you can see another hole appearing here, which, does this go all the way to the surface? No, it doesn't. I wonder if that's another world gen thing. And then as we go down, we eventually hit this layer, which is interesting, which is just a whole bunch more temples, which are also multi-layered right here. And then as we move down, we get to another temple, the Shrine of Oiling. Lovely. And then this is starting to look a little bit more pre-gen stuff. This area feels like an area that was hollowed out, but I might be incorrect from pre-generated stuff. And then down here is definitely the World Gen Fortress. So this is the World Gen Fortress. And as you can see, they've left most things just kind of sealed up. But these are all world gen bedrooms. So the pre-generated world gen stuff either had beds in here or no beds. Sometimes they have beds, sometimes they don't. Sometimes they have chairs, sometimes they have thrones, sometimes they have the cabinets and chests, sometimes they have nothing. But I'm not sure if Joe produced all of this furniture for in these, but this layout is definitely a Dwarf Fortress world gen special over here. And then as you can see, just seems like most of the fortress is housed down here. So pretty cool. And then these are kind of your default crafting zones with these little statues in them, which they usually have. There's another set of bedrooms up here. And then this is what I mean by it's kind of labyrinthine. There's just like a single stairwell down, and then there's more crafting and probably meeting zones down here initially. Same with like these areas, and like these rooms are all like in fog of war initially, so you have to go and seek them out. And these workshops are, they're all forbidden. So these workshops are also all the world gen stuff as well. Like this room, for example, could just like have a forgotten beast in it, and this room could have 4 goblins and one of them's a were creature. So like the kinds of stuff that you run into in these pre-gen fortresses, while the layouts might not be the most exciting, I do genuinely believe that like they can cause some really fun emergent gameplay. Now this is just what the central ramps, I guess, look like by default, just kind of that hole in the ground that just kind of slowly goes down, and then clearly they found some metals down here which they were harvesting, and then we can go further down, and these little tiny temple things that are just like, yo, it's an altar and a statue, is also something that you'll see in the default world gen stuff. And we keep going down, and then we get to some more pre-gen world stuff space. This one even has like, I was gonna say this one has like a smear, but no, it doesn't. It just it just has an open space hole down there where you can see mud. Interesting. And then there's a backpack in the middle just full of stuff. Some adventurer must have left that there at some point. And then we have all these statues kind of around the edges and more statues from the World Gen stuff. It's kind of neat that they're like on top of those pillars, though. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Huh, that's curious. And then down here at the bottom are these little water pools. Those might be something Joe did. I'm not entirely sure on that one. Maybe they filled them up because there is a bucket there, but if I hit Z, maybe not. Anyway, we'll keep going down a little further. I will say that exploring these in adventure mode is a bit of a colossal nightmare. Kind of finding everything. And then down here is kind of a very big area where they were obviously searching for materials of some sort. And then we get to the lowest cavern layer. And then this is where I'm going to put the spoiler warning. So if you are new to Dwarf Fortress and you would like to play the game without any kind of spoilers, this is very much a spoiler warning zone right here. So now is where I would tune out if you are sensitive to spoilerifiness. That's a word. All right, you've been warned. Moving down, we can see a Spirit of Fire here, who is completely encased. Now, they're using my strat, which I love to tell people about, where you fortify a zone and you can see the creatures before they even encounter you. So this particular critter, who is a very large snail composed of flame, it has wings, and it undulates rhythmically, is just locked in there and it can't leave. So that part's great. They are pumping water out of these lower zones and into here using that, and then the spire continues, and this is where the adamantine starts, and that seems to be about as deep as it's gotten. They mined out enough adamantine carefully to be able to build a throne for the king, and then I'm assuming it behind this very much looks like a tunnel to hell, but who knows. So all I gotta say is if you have ever built a fortress and would like to send it in to get me to have a look at it on this show, definitely submit it over on my Discord, because I love looking at stuff like this. Seeing other people's creativity is fantastic. And Joe, thank you very much for being super cool and sending in a very impressive fortress once again. These are always just awesome to see, and I love looking at them, and they give everybody neat ideas, myself included. So I just wanted to say thank you very much for sending in this fortress, and if you would like to support this channel and the stuff I do directly, you can do that via my Patreon or buying a piece of merchandise off of my merch store. And if you would like to watch what I do live, you can find me at twitch.tv/BLINDIRL. And aside from that, I just want to say thank you very much for watching this video, and I hope to see you in the next one.